So Llama 3.1 and their largest model yet, the 405 billion parameter model, just came out this week. And this is a huge deal in the world of AI because they claim that this model is as good as the frontier models. This model is as good as the top models out there, including GPT-4o and Claude 3.5 Sonnet. Now, these two models are, of course, closed source. We don't know the code, we don't know the weights. They are controlled by two companies, OpenAI and Anthropic. So we essentially have a duopoly here. There are only a handful of companies controlling the smartest AI models in the world. And this can be very dangerous and give them way too much power. We need more competition. And speaking of competition, this week Meta announced their largest model, the 405 billion parameter model, and this is open source. We'll discuss what that means in a second, but basically anyone in the world can have access to intelligence that's as good as the best closed source models out there. This is a huge deal and quite frankly a big middle finger to these closed source AI companies. They're giving the control of intelligence back to the people. So in this video, I'm going to go over this announcement of Llama 3.1. Specifically, I'm going to test out their largest model, the 405B, and compare it with the top models out there, including GPT-4o and Claude 3.5 Sonnet. I'm going to test its ability to code, to write things, to reason and solve problems, plus we're going to look at the benchmark metrics and how they compare with the top models. Finally, we're going to go over if this is truly open source and also their usage policy and why this release is such a big deal in the world of AI. So let's jump right in. First, they announced the Llama 3.1 family, which is a slight upgrade from their previous Llama 3, which they announced in April. Now, this Llama 3.1 family consists of 3 models of different sizes. It has an 8 billion parameter model, which is small enough to run on your device. So that means if you have a mid-tier GPU, you can actually download this 8 billion parameter model and have an AI running on your device. You don't need any internet or subscription or anything. It's truly yours to do whatever you want with it. However, the smaller the parameter size, the less intelligent that it would be. So here's a chart of scaling laws, and you can see that as the parameter size decreases, the more loss, or basically the more inaccurate the model will be. So this is decent for handling most tasks, but for more complex tasks that require more intelligence or more advanced reasoning, well, you need more parameters, and this brings us to their mid-tier model, which is 70 billion parameters. Now, this might be hard to run locally unless you have a really high-end GPU. You probably need like 2 or more top-tier GPUs to run this locally. But of course, 70 billion parameters is way more intelligent than the 8 billion parameter model. Now, both these two models, the 70B and the 8B, were released back in April when they announced Llama 3, and this was already quite impressive back then. But this week, they've released their biggest model in the family yet, which is 405 billion parameters. Even if everything else were the same, just purely by increasing the parameter size to almost 6 times from the mid-tier model, naturally you would expect this to be way more intelligent. Now, note that this is over 700 gigabytes in size, so you could download this, but you won't be able to run this on a regular computer. You probably need to link it to a GPU server or cluster or something with enough compute to run such a large model, which, by the way, they mentioned that it took months to train this 405B model using over 16,000 state-of-the-art NVIDIA H100 GPUs. This is a huge amount of data and compute. Imagine trillions of calculations running non-stop every second for months in order to create this model. They probably spent, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars on this, but the crazy thing is they've decided to open source this and release it for everyone to use and tweak and do whatever they want with it for free. Now, there are nuances to their claim of being open source. which I'll get back to in a second. But enough about specs, let's actually test this out right now. So there are a few places where you can use this 405B model online for free. So if you're in the United States, you can try out 405B on meta.ai. So simply click on this link or go to meta.ai, and you do need to log in with your Instagram or Facebook account down here. But once you're logged in, you should see this pop up where you can try the newest and largest 405B for a limited number of text-only responses every day. And if you don't see that, in Meta, try clicking on your profile and then going to settings, where you should be able to select 405B as the model to use. Now again, this assumes that you are in the USA. If you are not, then this will not work. Even if you try to use a VPN, because you need to log in with your Facebook or Instagram account, which I assume is not in the USA, this is not going to work. So there are other places where you can use 405B for free. One of them is called Hugging Chat. I'll link to this in the description below. This is hosted by Hugging Face, and you can select various different models here, such as Mistral and Microsoft's Phi 3 Mini, and of course, here we can select Meta Llama 3.1 405B. So once we click on this, we can exit here. And now you can see we are using 405B here. Another way to use Llama 405B is actually from our sponsor of today's video, Chat LLM by Abacus AI. You can try it for free via the link in the description below. You can use all the AI chatbots out there all in one integrated platform. This includes the newest Llama 3.1 405B, as well as Claude's newest 3.5 Sonnet and GPT-4o, as well as their own in-house model called Smog. Not only can you chat with it like a regular chatbot, but it also retrieves the latest data from the web, ensuring that your output is the most up-to-date. You can also get these LLMs to generate images for you right in the chat, so there's no need to head to a separate image generation platform. They also have a very convenient Humanize button, which makes the output seem more human, and you can select from different tones and give it additional instructions. This allows you to bypass AI content detectors. You can also create custom AI agents designed to perform specific tasks, whether it's automating customer support, generating reports, or any other function. Your custom AI agent will handle it with precision. Moreover, Chat LLM integrates seamlessly with various enterprise platforms such as Slack, Teams, and more. Experience the power and versatility of Chat LLM by Abacus AI today. Try it for free via the link in the description below. Another way is to use it on Poe. So again, I'll link to this in the description below. It's basically poe.com, but you do get a limited amount of messages per day. So right now you can see I have 6 messages left on Poe. And there have been reports that Grok.com, this is not Elon Musk's Grok, which ends in a K, but this Grok that has super fast inference for LLMs, well, their site also hosted Llama 3.1 405B, at least as of yesterday. But when I checked today, they kind of removed it. It's probably because there was way too much traffic, so I'm hoping they offer this back up. But anyways, I'm going to use Hugging Chat for this. And so let's test it out right away. I'm going to enter in a few very tricky prompts to test, first of all, its coding abilities. I'm also going to test its reasoning abilities. Plus, I'm going to do the same thing using GPT-4o, which is currently the leading AI model. All right, let's jump right in. So first prompt, make a snake game using Python. Super simple prompt. I already know that GPT-4o can pull this off. Claude 3.5 Sonnet can also pull this off. But let's see if now Llama 3.1 405B can also give me a fully functional game in just one prompt. All right, it is finished answering, so let me copy this code, and then in VS Code, I'm going to paste it in here, click save, and then I will click run. All right, so now I am in the snake game. The arrow keys work. Let me try to eat this. All right, so I can eat the food, and as I eat the food, I get longer. That's good. What happens if I hit the wall? The window closes. Perfect. Let me play this again. And so let me get a bit longer. As you know, the golden rule of the snake game is if I touch myself, I lose the game. So let me try to get a bit longer. And then I am going to try to touch myself. And this also ends the game. So that's a pass. It created a fully functional snake game with a scoreboard in just one prompt. Let's give it a trickier prompt. So make a Tetris game using Python. Now, I tried this with Claude 3.5 Sonnet. It could not get this in one prompt. I had to prompt it one more time with the error message in order for it to work. Let's see if Llama 405B could get this 0 shot. Alright, so our code is ready. Let's see if this works. Note again that other top models were not able to get this 0 shot. So let me select the snake game, remove that, and then paste this Tetris game here, and then click run. Alright, so I can move my, oh my gosh. So I can move my arrows. You can see there was just one piece dropping and then the game ended. So it was not able to get this in one prompt. So let me paste the error in here and see if it can fix it. I'll give it one more chance. Alright, so our new code is ready. Let me copy this code and then select all, paste it in here, and click play, and let's see if this works. Holy smokes, this is so fast. Plus, I don't know why that piece is stuck over there, and alright, it's just not working. And I also cannot turn the pieces, so I'm trying to press the up arrow here. It's not turning the pieces, and it's just a bloody mess right now. So let me exit out of this. It clearly could not get Tetris to work, so that's a fail. Alright, next I'm going to pull up ChatGPT in a separate window, and then we are going to paste in the same prompt. So the prompt is, John is twice as old as Mark. In 5 years, the sum of their ages will be 65. How old is each person now? So it's just a simple algebra problem. I'm going to run both of these and see if they can get it right. Alright, it seems like they are doing the same steps. I do like how ChatGPT is formatting this a bit nicer. And it looks like both got it correct. So ChatGPT is actually more accurate. So it gave us decimal values as well. So Mark is approximately 18.3 years old. John is approximately 36.67. Whereas here, it's the same thing. So John is currently 36. Mark is currently 18. So it's a pass for Llama 3. Here is a really tricky prompt. It's really simple to us humans, but somehow LLMs, even the top models, just get stuck in answering this. So let's see if it got this correct. And that's crazy. Look at that. Even the top model, GPT-4o, could not answer this correct. So how many R's are in strawberry? It says 2, but there are obviously 3 R's in strawberry. And then same with Llama 3 405B. It says there are 2 R's in the word strawberry. So I feel like there's some fundamental flaw in, the underlying architecture behind these neural networks that's preventing them from counting letters in a word. I mean, this should be really easy. Here's another standard test. So give me 10 sentences that end in the word bubble. Let's see if it can pull this off. All right, so let's look at Llama 3's answers. All 10 sentences end in the word bubble, so that's a pass. And also GPT-4o, all sentences also end in the word bubble, so that's a pass for it too. Note that older models were not able to answer this correctly for some strange reason. Alright, next I'm going to use Chat LLM by Abacus AI. I'm just showing you another platform where you could use Llama 405B online. And then on the right, I'm comparing this to ChatGPT, which is using GPT-4o, and then we're going to paste in the same prompts in both places. So let's test out this reasoning and strategic thinking prompt. So the prompt is, imagine designing a small studio apartment. How would you arrange the bed, kitchen, area, and workspace to maximize space and functionality? Again, there's no correct answer here. I didn't even specify how big the apartment is or the shape of the apartment. I just want to see how it would think and reason through this. And then so up here, let me select Llama 3.1 405B and then click generate for both of these. Alright, so let's look at both of these. Their answers seem to be quite similar. So GPT-4o starts with this zoning, the space section, and then 405B also starts with this zone division section. So they all suggest, first of all, to divide this studio apartment into different zones. And then, interestingly, they kind of list the same features in the same order. So we have bed area here, and then we have bed here, and then we have kitchen area, and then we have kitchen here, and then workspace and workspace here. So a few things I like about GPT-4o's response: it added this extra section called design tips, which also discussed like light and color and decor, keeping it clutter-free, etc. One thing I liked about Llama 3.1 is that it tried to give me an actual layout of the studio apartment and where it would place all the items. Now, of course, this is not great. It can't actually generate images, so this is like the best representation it can do. But yeah, I would say both answers are a pass. Alright, next let's test it out with another reasoning question. So the prompt is, how many basketballs could fit in the Empire State Building? Explain your reasoning. Again, there's no correct answer here. I just want to see how it thinks through this problem. So let me click generate for both of them. It looks like they are doing the same calculations, but this is in square meters. Somehow this one is using feet and inches, and then it got roughly the same answers too. So it got 320 million basketballs. Llama gave me 323 million basketballs. What's interesting is the first paragraph is almost the same. So here, the first paragraph is, to estimate the number of basketballs that could fit in the Empire State Building, we need to calculate the volume of the building and the volume of a single basketball. And then for GPT, here's pretty much the same paragraph. So to estimate how many basketballs could fit the Empire State Building, we'll use the volume of both the Empire State Building and a standard basketball. And I do prefer ChatGPT's response because it uses meters instead of feet and inches for Llama 3, but I'm sure you can also tell Llama 3 to use meters. Anyways, I think for both answers, this is also a pass. All right, next question. This is more of a physics understanding question. So the prompt is, a ship made of steel floats on water, but a steel nail sinks. Why? So let me click generate for both so you can see and compare both answers. All right, so both answers are again very similar. They both talk about two main factors, density and buoyancy. Now, it seems that Llama 3's responses are a bit longer than I would like. Oftentimes I do prefer the more concise answers of GPT-4o. But overall, both of them got essentially the same answers. So they talked about displacement, they talked about displacement here, they talk about shape and volume. So here we have shape and volume. So it's a pass for both of them. I do see how Llama 3 is at the level of frontier models like GPT-4o. All right, here's another trick question. Which is bigger, 9.11 or 9.9? And the answer should be 9.9. Let's see if it can understand this. GPT-4o nailed this. It didn't even explain further. It just gave us the answer. 9.9 is bigger than 9.11. Ooh, and Llama 405b failed. It said that 9.11 is bigger than 9.9. All right, next, let's test out its reasoning and planning capabilities. So here's the prompt. You are tasked with organizing a week-long summer camp for teenagers. The camp includes various activities such as sports, arts and crafts, educational workshops. How would you create a schedule that balances these activities, keeps the campers engaged, and ensures their safety and well-being? Note that there is no correct answer here. This is quite an open-ended question. I just want to test out its strategic thinking and planning capabilities. So let me run both of these and compare their results. All right. So if we scroll back up to the top, already I like ChatGPT's response a bit more. So it just jumped right in and gave me a full schedule of what to do every day, what to do in the morning, afternoon, and evening, hour by hour. Whereas for Llama 405, it kind of gave me some strategic summary first. So first of all, we need to identify the camp's goals and objectives, etc., etc. Then we need to plan the daily structure. We need to divide the day into morning, afternoon, and evening sessions. Okay, but a lot of this is just common sense, and I don't really need to see this. And then we need to allocate time for sports and physical activities, arts and crafts, educational workshops. Well, now it's just kind of repeating my prompt, which is the camp includes various activities such as sports, arts and crafts, and educational workshops. So like this first section is just some strategic overview of what we should do, but it's not giving me any additional value. And then not only until we scroll down like halfway do we see a sample schedule. And then here is what I was really looking for. So, all right, it breaks down that Monday we should do this, Tuesday we should do this, Wednesday, etc., etc. And now comparing this with ChatGPT's schedule, I do like GPT's response a bit more. I like how it categorized the topic every day. So day 1 is arrival and orientation. Day 2 is sports and outdoor adventures. Day 3 is arts and creativity. I like how it broke it down into morning, afternoon, and evening, whereas for Llama 3, it just clumped all the hours together. And also, Llama 3's response did not even include like any arrival or check-in or orientation, right? It just jumped right into team sports, which I don't think is very logical. Whereas for ChatGPT, it was very logical. It understood that, well, first we need to have the campers arrive and then check in, and then we need to go over orientation and camp rules. So I would say I prefer GPT-4o's response a lot more. All right, next, let's test something else. So a small business owner wants to expand their online presence to increase sales. What steps should they take to develop a comprehensive digital marketing strategy? And again, this is quite an open-ended question. I didn't even specify the product. There are so many ways they could increase sales. So let's see what it gives us. And again, I'm going to enter in the same prompt for GPT-4o. All right, now comparing both responses, I would say they're both mediocre. It's just like common sense stuff like define goals and objectives, define your target audience. It's actually quite similar. Optimize your website, content marketing, develop a content strategy. So I would say both are mediocre. I would give both of them a pass, but it's not especially impressive. All right, here's another tricky reasoning question. If you are in an elevator that's falling, can you save yourself by jumping at the last second before it hits the ground? So let's submit these and see what it gives us. Perfect. So both got this correct. The correct answer is it won't work because of relative speed. So it says the elevator's downward velocity is much greater than your upward jumping velocity. So basically your jump would barely make a dent in the elevator's downward velocity. So I do find that Llama 3 gives unnecessarily longer responses. I do like how GPT-4o's responses are more concise, plus it breaks it down into these points which are easier to follow than just paragraphs. But both got this correct. Now, one thing I like about using another top model called Claude 3.5 Sonnet is that at least if you use their native interface, it has this artifacts function built in where as you get it to generate some code, that code will actually be shown and executed on the right. So I don't need to go back and forth between this chatbot and then in VS Code and copy and paste different things. Now, unfortunately, Meta AI and all the other platforms where you can use Llama 405B, they do not have this artifacts feature. So unfortunately, I do need to copy and paste code back and forth. But anyways, I'm going to paste in the exact same prompt that I used in Claude 3.5 and see if Llama 405B can pull this off. So create an app in one HTML page that can be used in artifacts. This obviously does not have artifacts, so let me just remove that piece. Make an interactive 3D particle cloud with a max of 100 particles. Use 3.js for the simulation. Do not use unsupported or third-party libraries or functions. Create your own functions. All right, let me click generate and see what that gives us. All right, so let me copy this code. I'm really excited to see if this works. So I've created an empty HTML file. I'm going to paste this code in here, and I'm going to open the HTML file in Chrome. And here's what I got. I have no idea what's going on here. This is just what I got. I'm trying to zoom out here. It's not really letting me zoom out. It is a particle cloud. I'm just not sure what I can do with it. And here's what I got from Claude. So obviously Claude is a bit better. It got everything in just one prompt, but let me give Llama another chance. So going back here, I'm going to write give me settings to adjust the particle size and number. Give me a slider to zoom in and out. All right, let's see if it can adjust the code so that we get a slightly more interactive particle cloud app. All right, our code is ready. So let me copy this, and going back to VS Code, I'm going to select all, paste the new code in, click save, and then open this up in Chrome. All right, so I can now let me see if I can adjust the zoom. Perfect. I can adjust the zoom of this. Let me increase the particle size. All right. Let me decrease the particle size. So if I decrease the particle size, it does not work. So let me just refresh this. Let me zoom out again. And then particle count, that works. Let me decrease the particle count. All right. If I decrease the particle count after increasing it, it does not work. So unfortunately, I would have to give this a fail. It could generate a particle cloud, but the settings don't really work. And it's just clearly not as good as what I got from Claude 3.5 Sonnet with just one prompt. All right, final test. Let's see if it can pull this off. Create an interactive HTML JS presentation on the health implications of coffee. Use as much data as possible. Put everything in one standalone HTML file. So let's see if it can pull this off. All right, I already do not like the format here. It's kind of breaking this down into different sections, so it's not giving me just one full page of code which I can copy and paste. So instead, let me try to prompt it further. Give me the entire code at once and see if that works. All right, this is a bit better. All right, let's scroll back up, copy this code, and then paste it in here. I will open this HTML in Chrome, and here's what I got. So it's not really formatted nicely, but let me click on next slide. And next slide doesn't do anything. So I've already given it 2 chances. This doesn't seem like it works. I mean, the information is there. You can see it has each slide here, so potential risks of excessive coffee consumption. Here it seems to have a chart with the title risk of heart disease. So all the information is there, but it just failed to load anything. So unfortunately, that is a fail. In terms of like creating interactive presentations, it's not as good as Claude 3.5 Sonnet. So from my tests, I hope this gives you a good sense of what Llama 3.1405b can and cannot do. In fact, here's more on its limitations. This is purely a text-based model. This is very different from GPT-4o, which is multimodal, so it can understand audio and images and text in real time. It can also output audio and images and text. Claude 3.5 Sonnet also has vision capabilities. So for example, for both GPT-4o and Claude 3.5, you can take a screenshot of a website and upload it, and then in the prompt get it to create a landing page based on that design. This is not possible with Llama 3.1. You can't upload an image and get it to analyze the image, ask it questions about the image, or do anything with the image. In other words, it does not have vision capabilities. It also cannot analyze audio, so you're not going to be able to converse with it as naturally as you would GPT-4o.
Or maybe even a live stream?
Yeah. In fact, we've got a new announcement to make.
That's exciting. Announcements are always a big deal.
By the way, when is this feature going to come out? We've been waiting for months now. But anyways, because this Llama 3.1 family is open source, maybe someone could fine-tune a model that can have these vision and audio capabilities in the future. Also note that it has a context length of 128,000 tokens, which is the same as GPT-4o. Now, this is usually more than enough. So for example, you can paste in roughly a 200 to 300 page article with 128k tokens. But if you want to feed it like a 1,000-page document or your entire code base, then this window size is not enough. You would need to use something like Google's Gemini 1.5 Pro, which has a 1 million token context window. All right, next, let's move on to performance and some benchmarks. So here are some benchmark scores that they've released. They compared Llama 3.1405B with the top models, GPT-4o and Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And you can see they don't claim that this is significantly better than these two models, but it's pretty much on par with these, at least according to these benchmark metrics. So for example, for some metrics, Llama has the highest score, for others, GPT-4o has the highest score, for others, Claude 3.5 Sonnet has the highest score. Interestingly, for human eval, Llama 3.1 got the lowest score out of the three models. Interestingly, for math, at least for 8-shot, it got the highest score, but I mean, it's pretty close. They're all hovering at around 96. But I mean, take these benchmarks with a grain of salt because they might be easily exploited, right? So the AI models could be easily fine-tuned to do really well on questions that are known to be used in these benchmark metrics. So another great platform where we can rank LLMs is this leaderboard called LMSys. And this is where users can blind test different models. Note that Llama 405B is not on this list yet, so they're probably waiting for it to accumulate a big enough sample size before they actually show it in the rankings. So I'd be curious to see where it would show up on this list, but you can see right now GPT-4o and their smaller version, GPT-4o Mini, is actually at the top spot, achieving a higher score than Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which is surprising. I think a lot of people might expect that Claude 3.5 Sonnet is the best model right now, but at least according to a ton of these blind tests, it seems like GPT-4o is still at the top spot. Another interesting leaderboard is Scale AI's SEAL leaderboard, which they claim to use private evaluation datasets that cannot be gamed and contaminated. So in terms of coding, you can see that Llama 405B is not even in the top 3 spots. It's number 4, and this is what we've seen in my tests as well. It clearly was not as good as GPT-4o in terms of giving me the code 0-shot as well as fixing code, so it could not generate a game of Tetris even after I prompted it further. However, for instruction following, 405B seems to be in first place. And then for math, Llama seems to be in second place. And then for Spanish, Llama seems to be all the way in 6th place. And here's yet another contamination-free ranking system for AI models called LiveBench. And this was created by our sponsor, Abacus AI. So again, this is designed to remove any bias and potential gaming of these AI models to be trained only to get high benchmark scores. So LiveBench uses new questions every month, as well as having more recent questions, so this reduces the likelihood of contamination. Anyways, here's the leaderboard. So you can see Llama 3.1405B is in second place. Again, this is huge because this is open source. Before this, we've never had any open source model in the top 5 spots. But anyways, reasoning average, it's pretty good, but not nearly as good as Claude 3.5 Sonnet. Coding average, again, this is the lowest, and this is what I found as well. It doesn't do well with coding compared to Claude 3.5 or GPT-4o. Same with mathematics. This is also what I found. It just isn't as good as math compared to GPT-4o or Claude 3.5. Same with data analysis and language. It scored way lower in this language benchmark compared to the other closed source models. And then this IF average is where it scored the highest. So IF stands for inverse frequency. This is used to evaluate the performance of AI models on more challenging tasks, which might reflect higher understanding and generation abilities. So there you go. I'm throwing a lot of different leaderboards at you, but it's always good to look at different leaderboards because some of their evaluations might be slightly different and there's no consensus on like which leaderboard is most accurate. But it is good to see that Llama 3.1405B is within like the top 3 spots across most of these leaderboards. Now, next, let's go back to their claim of being an open source AI model. I think the better term to use here is that it's open weight. In other words, anyone can download the model and inspect the weights of the model. If you're not familiar with what weights are, an AI model basically consists of a neural network. And when you prompt it something, that prompt gets broken down into tokens, which then flow through this neural network and spits out your output. Now, as it flows through this neural network, each of these nodes or neurons determine how much information flows through to the next layer. And so these are basically the weights. The weights determine how much information flows through this neural network. Anyways, back to this, so everyone can download this model. We know the weights of the entire model, so anyone can build on top of this and create fine-tuned models for specific applications. You can even go ahead and create an uncensored model if you wanted to. However, there are nuances of their claim of being an open source AI model. If you look at the license for Llama 3.1, it actually includes certain restrictions, especially around commercial usage. So if you read the fine print, it says if the monthly active users of your products or services is greater than 700 million monthly active users, you must request a license from Meta. Now, I mean, this isn't very restrictive, that's a lot of room, but still, just note that this usage policy exists, but you don't really see this in any open source license. So in that regard, it's not truly open source. Plus, the exact details of their training data are not fully disclosed. Meta only stated that they used publicly available data, but nobody knows for sure what that even means. Some people think they could have crawled your WhatsApp messages or your Instagram and Facebook posts, but that's just wild speculation, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now. So that's all for Llama 3.1 and their latest 405 billion parameter model. It doesn't seem like much, it doesn't blow the leading models out of the water, but it's pretty damn up there. And this is actually a huge deal because they're making this open source. We've now suddenly changed the landscape of having the smartest AIs being dominated by only a handful of closed source companies to now having an open source model that anyone can access and fine tune. So this is just awesome. My hat off to Meta and Mark Zuck and team for doing all of this. And I hope you continue to push open source technology to the frontiers so that it introduces more healthy competition in this AI landscape. Now, if you've gotten a chance to test this out, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. What did you like or not like about it? Was there anything that you thought it did particularly well? And are you going to switch over to this or still use GPT-4o or Claude 3.5 Sonnet? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, we built a site where you can find all the AI tools out there, as well as find jobs in machine learning, data science, and more. Check it out at ai-search.io. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.